Being one of the larger areas within the Lands Between, covered in shallow waters, wetlands, and topped off with a large legacy dungeon, it can be quite a bit overwhelming and fairly difficult to hunt down some of the best weapons in Liurnia of the Lakes that can bully bosses into submission with the right build. Today we're going to be taking a look at 6 awesome weapons that you can acquire within this vast region that'll assist you in stacking bodies and using them as sandbags so you can claim the title of Elden Lord. If you enjoy the content, dropping a like really helps out the channel, and for more videos like this one, you can click the subscribe button as well. So let's get ready to mark a 10-digit grid to each location, tell Melina we don't believe in no-win scenarios, and get after it. If you're looking for a simple weapon that spells disaster to anybody standing in front of it, look no further than the Executioner's Great Axe. Receiving some favorable upgrades in patch 1.09, improving its speed, range, and recovery time, this weapon can cut large chunks out of a boss's health bar even in your first playthrough. While the Warcry skill that comes attached to it when you first pick it up is pretty good, there are quite a few Ashes of War that you can pick up down the road that'll make this weapon truly deadly. This Great Axe can be found early on as soon as you cross the border into Liurnia of the Lakes, and as you can see from the map footage, it can be located on a cliffside graveyard just past the Church of Erith. From the side of Grace, you can hop on Torrent and head southwest just past the church, where you'll need to hop up on a rocky outcropping, and once you're up top, you'll swing to the northwest to reach a tree with 2 skeletons hanging from it. If you head right to the tree, the skeletons will drop down and you'll find yourself overwhelmed and surrounded in no time. An easier method for this farming run is to head around back, where you'll run into a skeleton exiting the ground by 2 orange trees. Honestly, this thing isn't likely to drop right away, and it may take quite a few runs since the drop rate for this axe is around 4% with 100 item discovery, but it's worth it in the long run. Used to dispatch the remnants of defeated armies, this heavy cleaver comes with C-tier scaling and strength, and some minor scaling and dexterity. It also comes stock with the skill Warcry, which grants a temporary increase to attack power in case you need that extra edge. If you're looking to make heads roll, you can eventually pair it with some late game Ashes of War to increase its damage potential and give it some additional knockdown power. Next is a weapon you never knew you needed, and while it hasn't been in the direct spotlight, if you need a weapon that deals some hefty strike damage while chucking forth a couple magic missiles with no intelligence requirement, then the Watchdogs Staff is probably the weapon you're looking for. With the improvements provided within patch 1.09, this thing can not only deliver some crushing blows, but the sorcery skill attached to it can deal a significant amount of damage after upgrading the weapon itself. This Colossal weapon gives you a pretty powerful ranged option when necessary, even if you decided on a pure melee build. If you take a look at the map footage, the Watchdogs Staff can be picked up within the Road's End catacombs, which can be discovered on a small pathway by the cliffs to the west of the Minor Erdtree in the southwestern portion of Liurnia. From the side of Grace, you can follow the dungeon's normal pathing while chopping your way through a bunch of fanged imps that resemble living stone statues, and they wield some rather wicked blades that cause hemorrhage. Once you reach the bottom of the second staircase on the main path, you'll need to turn around, where you can uncover an illusionary wall hiding a small area under the landing. It's no surprise that there are a few imps waiting to ambush you, and after you make it through the initial attack, you'll be free and clear to head over to the corner where you can pick up your prize. This finely crafted large stone staff, embedded with glintstone, scales primarily with strength, with some scaling and dexterity as well. Its weapon skill makes this a powerful tool for pure strength builds that need some immediate magic suppression with no intelligence required. If you want to prove that before the battle is over that even a god can bleed, then you should focus your efforts on finding Vyke's War Spear. The unique skill attached to the spear sends you leaping into the air and crashing back down into the ground in a flourish of frenzied flames that sets the ground on fire, causing madness to enemies in the immediate area. Not only is this skill amazing, but the spear itself has a heavy slashing attack that deals both physical and fire damage to your target. As you can see from the map footage, the spear can be located near the Church of Inhibition, which is situated in the northernmost section of Liurnia. There are a few catches to grabbing this weapon, of course, and some may find the trek more annoying than the invasion itself. In order to get to the church, you'll have to pass a stretch of ground where you'll be rapidly affected by madness. The good news is that the madness emanating from the tower operates on line of sight, so if you can dip behind cover, you won't be affected by it. You also have the option of killing the enemies on the top of the tower, which shuts the madness down permanently. After surviving the madness tower, you'll have to pass through the Frenzied Flame village and continue northwest until you're invaded by Festering Fingerprint Vyke, who just so happens to be wielding the spear that you're looking for. Along with the spear, Vyke will also use a host of frenzy incantations during the fight, and can be pretty tough to beat if you aren't prepared. If you aren't 100% sure you can take him, just run past him into the church and light the side of grace before getting knee deep into the fight. Once defeated, he'll drop the spear and you can start your plans for world domination. Singed and blistered by the maddened night of the Round Table Hold and infused with the yellow flame of frenzy, this spear scales primarily with dexterity and faith. It is important to note that while using the attached weapon skill, it'll also cause you to build up madness as well, and when paired with the Black Dumpling Helm, you can stroll around the lands between, causing more mayhem than Dr. Crane. If you're looking for a weapon that's sharper than a 1982 Trans Am with extremely long range, a fast moveset, and the ability to customize it with Ashes of War, the Knight Rider Glaive checks all those boxes. While not the absolute best weapon in its class in terms of raw damage, since it's outshined slightly in that category by the Gargoyle's Halberd, this particular Glaive makes up for it with its overall length, proving in the end that size does matter. As you can see from the map footage, this weapon's dropped by a Knight's Cavalry boss who roams the area in between the East Rea Lucaria Gate and the Bellum Church during the nighttime hours. Like all bosses of its class, the horse and the rider have separate health bars, however the knight itself must be killed for the fight to end. Killing the horse will just cause the knight to fall to the ground, but the good news is it opens him up for a dismounted critical attack. The rider will fight on the ground after being dismounted, but has the ability to resummon the horse and will often do it quickly if you don't finish him off. Once the boss is defeated, you'll be rewarded the Knight Rider Glaive. This weighty black halberd comes complete with C-tier scaling and strength, some minor scaling with dexterity, and because of its length excels when attacking from horseback. When infused with heavy affinity, it receives S-tier scaling and strength when upgraded to plus 20, making it a solid choice for a pure strength build. While continuing an almost 30-year From Software tradition, some form of the Moonlight Greatsword has been seen in every Kingsfield and Soul Series game prior to Elden Ring. After the upgrades it's received from patch 1.07 and 1.09, this version of the legendary sword, known as the Darkmoon Greatsword, is well worth the trouble you need to go through to grab it. Not only does this blade cause some significant frostbite buildup, but when buffed, its innate skill has the ability to fire projectiles that can deal a ton of damage with the right build. It also deals quite a bit of stance damage, making for quite a few critical hit opportunities, which is extremely satisfying. As you can see from the map footage, the sword itself is located within the Cathedral of Manicelis, which is an old church that's located on top of the southern plateau within Liurnia of the Lakes. Unfortunately, you can't just hop up a spirit spring and stroll through the front doors, since the area is found at the end of a side quest involving Ranni the Witch. You'll first encounter Ranni at the Church of Ella early on, posing as her sister Renna. The quest is long and involved, but we'll give you a quick abridged version so that you have an idea of what it takes to locate it. After making your way through Caria Manor and defeating Knight Loretta, you'll meet her again within Ranni's Rise on the Plateau of the Three Sisters. Here you can enter her service and join with her servant Blide in completing a few tasks. Ultimately, you'll head to Redmane Castle in the Wailing Dunes, where you'll face off with General Radahn, and once he's defeated and the stars fall, you can gain access to Nokron, the Eternal City. After searching high and low in Nokron, you'll come across Ranni's ultimate prize, the Fingerslayer Blade, and once in your possession, you can return it to her, and she'll present you with the Carrion Inverted Statue. Once you reload the area, you'll find Ranni's gone, and you can now enter Renna's Rise, where you can teleport to Ansel River and Naskella. After coming through the teleporter, you'll need to loot a mini Ranni doll and then talk to it a few times at the nearby Site of Grace. This miniature version of Ranni will ask you to kill the baleful shadow that's lurking nearby, which is basically a Tales from the Dark Side version of Blide. Once defeated, he drops the discarded palace key that opens a chest containing the Darkmoon Ring within Queen Renala's chambers in Rea Lucaria. His defeat also opens the way to the Lake of Rot that you'll need to cross to continue on your way to the sword. After crossing the Lake of Rot, you'll need to enter a coffin that's resting on the edge of a waterfall, and after interacting with the coffin, you'll be transported to another location where you'll fight Estelle, the natural born of the Void. Once Estelle is defeated, you can go up the lift to the Moonlight Altar, and while the coast may seem clear, there'll be a dragon at the front door of the Church of Manicelis, which you can either fight or just run away from. Whether you fought the dragon or not, you can enter the church where Ranni's quest can be completed in a cavern below. Once you exhaust her dialogue, you'll be awarded the Darkmoon Greatsword in all its glory. This legendary sword, imbued by beams of pure moonlight, scales primarily with intelligence, strength, and dexterity. Its skill Moonlight Greatsword temporarily increases magic attack power and coats the blade itself in frost, and can be affected by a variety of talismans, physic combinations, and bonuses from armor sets. If you want to be a certifiable nightmare that turns your enemies into cryo slush, then the Royal Greatsword is the cold steel that you're looking for. Its skill Wolf Assault is extremely powerful, especially when hitting your target with the initial downward thrust, which causes a fair amount of frost damage on contact. The additional AoE Frost Burst that's released after pulling the weapon out of the ground stacks even more frost buildup onto your targets. Not only was it doctored up in patch 1.07 and patch 1.08 with increased poise while utilizing the skill and increased rolling attack speed, but it's received all the Greatsword upgrades in patch 1.09 as well. As you can see from the map footage, the Royal Greatsword can be located right outside the doors of Ranni's Rise on the Plateau of the Three Sisters in Liurnia. It isn't ground loot, but can be attained after completing Ranni's questline and defeating Glaive in combat, who went a little bit crazy since Ranni left. Glaive can be pretty tough to beat if you aren't ready for it. However, with the Side of Grace nearby, you can just continue to throw yourself at him until he's finally defeated. Once Glaive is no more, you can grab the sword off his body along with an extremely fashionable armor set. This beautifully crafted sword, which was imbued with frost once Glaive swore his oath to Ranni, scales primarily with strength and intelligence with some minor scaling and dexterity. Not only is this sword extremely fun to use, but with the right build it throws down some pretty stiff competition with other high-ranking greatswords. Well folks, it looks like we're coming to the end of another Elden Ring video as we press forth into Mount Gelmir in search of some more amazing weapons. We would like to take this time to personally thank you for watching, and if you're new to the channel and haven't done so already, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out on any new mid-40s gamer content. And if you aren't too busy wondering what makes the green grass grow, leave us a comment in the comment section and let us know how we're doing. So until next time, just remember, apple pie isn't actually American, about 700 grapes go into one bottle of wine, and as always, good hunting.